Coming up on Network Africa. Gunmen target Kenyan Member of Parliament in Nairobi in a suspected assassination plot. The UN Secretary General's Special Representative for Somalia, James Swan, meets with leaders of Somalia's federal member state of Galmudug. Plus, millions of infants at risk as war in Sudan slows immunization efforts, according to the UN Children's Agency, UNICEF. Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Lido Olarinde. We begin in Kenya, where a member of parliament has been shot dead in the streets of the capital, Nairobi, by gunmen on a motorcycle in a suspected assassination. Police say the attackers had been trailing Charles Were's vehicle before one of them got off the motorbike and shot him at close range. According to the police, the nature of this crime appears to be both targeted and predetermined. After the shooting on late Wednesday, his driver and bodyguard, both unhurt, managed to rush the injured MP to Nairobi Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. The opposition member of parliament had 2 months ago complained about threats to his life. The attack happened along Ngong Road near a busy roundabout, often manned by traffic police officers and well secured with security cameras. Still in Nairobi, hundreds of healthcare workers marched in the city for better working conditions, organized by the Kenya Union of Clinical Workers, KUCO. The peaceful protest took place in Nairobi's central business district, with protesters wearing white gowns and marching, blowing whistles and carrying placards with their demands. The KUCO Union declared its commitment to protecting the rights and welfare of medical workers and called on authorities to promptly meet its demands. In March, another protest of health workers took place in Nairobi. Medical personnel demanded fair treatment and job security.
One issue of them is career progression, our career guideline progression, which Sakaja has refused to implement. Another issue is posting of 5 clinical officers, and another issue about promotion and redesignation of clinical officers. That's why we are here. And we shall not leave these streets. We will come here again and again until those issues are implemented. Even if it takes us 1,000 days, we shall be here.
Many of us have worked in this government for so many years, but have not been promoted. Most of us have gone to school, they have upgraded themselves, but they have not been designated. That's the reason why we are here today.
We are agitating for justice that has been there for long. Number one, our officers need to be promoted and redesignated. Number two, we have career progression guideline. This career progression guideline has been passed by the Ministry of Health. It has been approved by the Public Service Commission. And even the High Court has ruled that it should be implemented.
Well, joining us now for more on this is Zadok Angira, Kenyan journalist with the Media Max company. He's their senior national security reporter. Hello, Zadok. Thank you for speaking to us on the program.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. What more can you tell us about the assassination of the opposition member of parliament, Charles Were? It's quite a shocking incident, isn't it? We'll need you to unmute your mic.
Yes, indeed it is. The investigations have been launched, yet so far no arrests have been made. And what we have since gathered is that the attackers used the element of surprise. The MP was accompanied by his bodyguard, who did not manage to respond because the attack took less than 5 minutes. It appears like the MP was being trailed from the parliament, which is about, from the parliament to the scene of attack is about 3 kilometers. And So far, as I said before, no one has been arrested, but the team from the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the homicide detectives, released the scene today, collected where they did the reconstruction of the scene. Of course, interrogated a few eyewitnesses, and the investigations are still ongoing.
As investigations continue, do we know of any motive? Even though, like you've mentioned, no one has been arrested. Police had already said the crime appears to be both targeted and predetermined.
Yeah, indeed, the attack appeared, it was a well-planned attack, and what we gather is like he was being trailed from Parliament. And as I said, the attack took place about 30 minutes after he left the Parliament, about 3 kilometers away. They are delayed because of traffic jam. But a fellow legislator also said that he appeared distracted yesterday, also remembering that earlier he had expressed concerns over his safety, saying that some people, though he never disclosed, were after his life. So, and again, what is coming out now is that it represents a constituency about 350 kilometers west of the city, Nairobi city, the capital city. But they have with so many issues, the typical situation in Kenya, politics, big charge. There have been so many issues where the locals were blaming him of some attacks which have been targeting the people who are his opponents. He has not been directly linked, but the locals say that some of his goons have been behind the attacks. So, and as another legislator in a neighboring constituency also said that, also attributed the attack to local politics. But as I said, the attack appeared well planned because you see, around that time, there's a lot of traffic in Nairobi, and the attackers now used a motorbike, which detectives believe was was a plan to ensure that they could escape, they could easily escape from the scene without being stuck in a traffic jam.
It's quite an unfortunate situation, but we'll leave it at that. Zadok Ngira, Senior National Security Reporter at Media Max Company in Nairobi. Thank you for speaking to us on the program.
Thank you.
Well, a mix of national and local matters have been covered during a meeting between the leader of Somalia's federal member state of Galmudug and a top United Nations official in the country. The UN Secretary General's Special Representative for Somalia, James Swan, emphasizes the importance of unity and inclusive dialogue among the country's political and community leaders, adding that Somalia requires decisive action on a range of security and political matters. Mr. Swan made the comments in press remarks soon after meeting with President Ahmed Abdi Kari and members of his team at Galmudug State House in the capital. In early April, a group made up of 28 of Somalia's international partners, including the United Nations, issued a statement in which they welcomed a proposal made during the Eid al-Fitr in late March by President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed.
On the national side, with Somalia requiring decisive action on a range of security and political matters, I emphasized the importance of unity and inclusive dialogue among the country's political and community leaders. I echoed the statement earlier this month from Somalia's international partners. In view of recent reductions in donor funding, it is necessary for Somali leaders, for donors, and for the United Nations to prioritize now the most vulnerable people to receive aid. The United Nations remains firmly committed to helping populations in need, in keeping with our humanitarian mandate. We also discussed ongoing efforts in reconciliation, among communities in Galmudug, and I welcome the President's continued engagement in resolving inter-clan tensions. We noted continued work to strengthen cooperation with local defense forces in an effort to keep the fight going and advancing against al-Shabaab. And to that end, I pay tribute to those troops and local defense forces here in Galmudug who continue the fight against al-Shabaab. Pleasure.
The war in Sudan is affecting vaccination uptake due to displacement and destruction of health facilities. The UN Children's Agency, UNICEF, says an estimated 3 million children in Sudan under the age of 5 are at high risk of epidemic diseases, including measles, malaria, pneumonia, diarrhea, and cholera. Health workers say vaccines are crucial for protecting children from diseases and reducing mortality rates in those under 5. In Sudan, over 1.3 million cases of malaria and over 850 deaths were confirmed in 2023. Children represent 22.3% of those cases and 16% of estimated deaths. Working with Sudan's Ministry of Health, UNICEF says it has supported the delivery of vaccines and other immunization materials. In the meantime, the World Food Programme, WFP, says food and nutrition distributions for over 220,000 people have started in Tawila, and that's northern Darfur, where hundreds of thousands are seeking refuge from the horrific violence in and around El Fasher and Zamzam IDP camp. The WFP aid deliveries to the center of Khartoum have been the first distributions within the downtown area of the capital since the conflict started 2 years ago. Distributions have also started in Al-Azhari neighborhood in South Khartoum for 20,000 people, one of the areas at high risk of famine. These efforts, the WFP says, are part of efforts to scale up and support 1 million people across all 7 localities in Greater Khartoum over the coming month.
More than 400,000 people have fled from Zamzam camp in recent days. Many have arrived in Tawila, where a WFP convoy of trucks has also arrived with food to assist more than 200,000 people. There are more trucks en route, including to El Fasher itself. And in recent weeks, we've also scaled up assistance in Khartoum, in the capital, in areas which have been inaccessible due to fighting for months. The rainy season is just around the corner, and we're in a race against time to pre-position food in areas that will be cut off when the rains come. During the rains last year, we saw a major surge in hunger and in disease outbreaks. At the moment, we're reaching 4 million people, but we need to scale that up to reach at least 7 million people in the coming months. In order to do that, we need more funding. Otherwise, we'll be cutting support at the very time when we need to be scaling up.
Uganda's government has officially declared an end to its Ebola outbreak, with the country's Ministry of Health confirming 42 days without new infections. The country has seen multiple Ebola outbreaks in recent years, with the most recent first reported in January. The epicenter of the epidemic was Kampala, the capital, where a flare-up of the Sudan strain, which has no approved vaccine, resulted in 14 cases and 4 deaths.
Response took about 87 days, which is really a success story of Uganda's resilience and also the capacity that has been built over the years to respond to epidemic diseases such as Ebola and others. We shall continue having surveillance, contact tracing. We shall continue with surveillance to pick out any issues that might arise.
I think it's a good thing because we know how Ebola is a threat to the lives of the people. It kills almost in the first few hours to days when someone gets it. So everyone would actually be scared to get such a disease. And therefore, I feel very happy and comfortable that we don't have Ebola anymore in our country, and everyone is free to go wherever they want, to the markets, to the hospitals, because it would even be dangerous going to the hospital where there is Ebola, because it is easy to contract the same. So I feel happy and comfortable that I can do anything, anytime, and wherever.
Uganda has been declared Ebola-free. I feel relieved because it gives you a sigh of relief, because with Ebola present, you are afraid who you talk to, who you shake hands with, who you meet, because your partner is somewhere else, you are somewhere else. There are chances that, you could actually have it in-house, but now that the country is declared Ebola-free, I feel relieved. I can move anywhere, associate with my buddies. I feel like life is coming back.
Still to come on the program. Thousands of people rally in favor of the military government in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the program. Authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo are seeking to lift former President Joseph Kabila's immunity from prosecution after accusing him of backing rebels in the eastern region of the country. Justice Minister Constant Mutamba says there is a substantial body of documents, testimony and material facts linking Mr. Kabila to the M23 armed group. The 53-year-old is yet to comment on the accusation, but has in the past denied any connection with the militants. He led DR Congo for 18 years after succeeding his father, Laurent, who was shot dead in 2001. Mr. Joseph Kabila was just 29 at the time. After stepping down from office, he was given the title of Senator for Life, which gives him legal immunity. Now, in order to pursue a legal case, DR Congo's military prosecutor has asked the Senate to overturn this. Two armed groups in the Central African Republic, CAR, have rejoined the 2019 political agreement on peace and reconciliation in the country, while in the Democratic Republic of Congo, an operation to transport several hundred unarmed members of the country's armed forces, Congolese National Police, and some dependents from MONUSCO facilities in Goma to Kinshasa has started. Now, this is according to a United Nations spokesperson giving updates to journalists in New York.
Today, the special representative of the Secretary General for the Central African Republic and head of MONUSCO, Valentine Rugwabiza, welcomed the decision by the leaders of the two armed groups, Return, Reclamation and Rehabilitation, and UPC, to rejoin the political agreement on peace and reconciliation in the Central African Republic, signed in 2019. Ms. Rugwabiza underscored that the mission is closely monitoring these encouraging developments, reiterating that a return to the political agreement remains the only viable path to achieving lasting peace in the country. The mission stands ready to support the implementation of the agreement in line with its mandate, once the reintegration modalities have been defined by the signatories, the Central African government, and the armed groups. We join our peacekeeping colleagues in the Democratic Republic of the Congo to welcome the start of an operation to transport several hundred unarmed members of the country's armed forces, Congolese National Police, and some dependents from MONUSCO facilities in Goma to Kinshasa. Their transport to Kinshasa, where they will be supported by national authorities, is being conducted with their consent and under the protection of the Geneva Conventions. This operation is being carried out with the mission's logistical support and is facilitated by the International Committee of the Red Cross in its key role as a neutral intermediary. The operation will take place over several days and will consist of multiple convoys. This follows more than 3 months of continuous protection provided by MONUSCO to Congolese army and police personnel who had taken refuge in its bases since the M23 took control of Goma at the end of January. In accordance with United Nations regulations, all individuals under MONUSCO's protection had been disarmed.
In Ghana, the Catholic Archdiocese of Accra has held a Requiem Mass at the Holy Spirit Cathedral to honor the late Pope Francis. The service was to unite clergy, religious leaders, and faithful in prayer for the departed pontiff.
The Catholic Archdiocese of Accra held a Requiem Mass at the Holy Spirit Cathedral to honor the late Pope Francis, who was laid to rest in Rome on Saturday after a Vatican funeral attended by hundreds of thousands of mourners and world leaders. Clergy, religious leaders and members of the Catholic community gathered to pay their respects and offer prayers for the repose of the late pontiff's soul.
You chose the name Francis, not for grandeur, but for mission.
The Most Reverend Matthew Kwasi Guiamfi, president of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, praised the late Pope's humility.
A pledge to rebuild Christ's church through simplicity, solidarity with the poor, and reverence for creation. Like St. Francis of Assisi, you rejected pomp and embraced humility. World monks, African bishops, Bosnian Muslims, climate scientists, street children, indeed all Catholics, each saying, "Thank you, Francis, for showing us that the gospel is not primarily a rule book, but a story of divine love."
Many world leaders would have to learn from the Pope because he was a unifier. He was one who was compassionate. He was selfless, and he put the needs of others above his own personal comfort. President Mahama also wishes to establish, on behalf of the government and people of Ghana, that we consider the passing of the Pope as the person of a champion for Africa. He was a chief advocate for the continent.
I have participated, like the other bishops of this country, in the Requiem Mass for the repose of the soul of our Holy Father, Pope Francis, who passed on Easter Monday. For us Catholics, and I believe also for Christians and also non-Christians, other believers, the life of Pope Francis has been quite touching. We can describe as one who is a unifier. And he tried to bring people together, and especially also engage himself and try to let the world understand the need to take care of the environment and the ecology. He was a simple man, a man who lived a life of humility and also a good example, spiritual example.
Next month, cardinals will meet in a secret conclave to elect the next pope. The closed-door meeting will start inside the Sistine Chapel on May 7 and will involve some 135 cardinals from across the world.
And finally, thousands have rallied in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, in support of the military leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a few days after the authorities announced the uncovering of a possible plot to overthrow the government. Demonstrators rallied with flags and holding placards with the portrait of Captain Traoré and slogans reading, "Africa for Africans, Burkina Faso is not a U.S. department." This comes following the U.S. General Michael Langley, head of AFRICOM, claiming that Burkina Faso's mineral resources do not benefit the population, but rather serve to protect the ruling regime. According to local media reports, the rally became one of the largest demonstrations in support of the government since Captain Ibrahim Traoré took power in September 2022. And that's it on the program today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.